Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you're listening to the Story Podcast. Today, we have on a super awesome guest, Mr. Brian Miller. Brian is a bassist from Central Pennsylvania. He has been playing bass on the local jam band scene for over the past 19 years. For the past 4 years, he has been playing with Roux. In this last few years, Brian has stepped into a new role, sharing the responsibilities of singing, songwriting with the rest of the band. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So, you talked about in your bio that you've been in the band scene here in the Central PA region for about 19, 20 years.
Yep.
Where did it all begin for you? Where did your love for music start?
So even before the past 19 years, really like in my parents' basement. I was probably like the only 9-year-old that knew how to use a turntable.
Really?
Yeah. So it was just all like old Zeppelin albums, the Doors, the Who, stuff like that, all the classic rock. And then, I just kind of fell in love with Led Zeppelin too. Like that album is just like still to this day, I listen to it and it's just so incredible. But what just really grabbed me was like John Paul Jones's bass lines. And for whatever reason, like I got into that and then just begged my parents, over and over and over again, like I need a bass. I want a bass. I want to play bass. And then finally one year for Christmas, there's a bass under the tree and, I was off to the races, played in a few bands throughout high school, just doing like kind of like classic rock covers and like, the early 90s, 2000s covers. And then once I really started like kind of like playing out a lot, really started when I turned around 21, I started in a house band for an open mic night in Halifax. And that's kind of where I really cut my teeth playing live. I had to learn a lot of covers, obviously. But then, learning how to improvise like on the spot, like not knowing songs and just kind of like figuring out as I go. And then on the other side of that, there's people that just want to jam. So
Right, of course.
So instead of like playing actual songs, I'm learning how to like improvise like on the spot. And then I kind of graduated from that. I met up with a longtime friend and collaborator, Matt Wurst. And we've been in bands ever since we were like 23 years old, and we're 37, 40 years old right now. But he shares like, same interest in music that I do, like kind of like improv, jam band style music, Grateful Dead, Fish, that kind of thing. And we just kind of like, tinkered around, here and there. And we started a band called Blind Ellis. And we did that for about 10 years. And, that was a lot of original material, but it was a lot of covers. We were just figuring out like how to play music together at the time, And outside of that, I was also doing a lot of like one-off things, just, getting together with other musicians and doing like random shows here and there, like Family Stanley Band. I was part of a band called Banjaw. Oh God, there was a few others along there. Newton's Congress, Strange Quark, all these bands, like they're all like in that jam band realm. And about 4 years ago, Matt and I started another project, which we call Roux now, but at the time it was something different. COVID really hurt us, like we were getting ready, like we kind of made the switch from doing covers to doing pretty much all original material. And like I said, COVID, came along and kind of like put a stop to the whole scene.
Right. Just a minor stop.
Just a minor stoppage. Yeah. And we still tried to like kind of keep it going, and then we wound up having a few like members like change out. Some people just kind of weren't working out, personalities, that sort of thing. And but the core of the band's still here. And we just added Nolan Lord on guitar, and he's another fantastic guitar player. And for about the past year or so, we've been kind of going as a 4-piece. Trying to play wherever we can, get our name out there. We've been playing, played the Skid Row Garage in York recently. We've done a few festivals this summer, a few breweries here and there, like just really trying to like kind of build up, a little bit of a fan base. And it seems like people have been receptive so far. At least I hope so, as far as, we were real busy, beginning of spring, like through until like just up to last week, and we have a few weeks off. End of August, we're doing another festival. We'll be at the Carnival of the Arts. They just announced that yesterday. I'm glad they announced the second phase of the lineup, so I could actually say that here. Right. So we'll be doing that, and then we're gonna take a little bit more time off in the fall. We're gonna start recording at least like a small EP. I mean, we have tons of material. It's just a matter of getting it recorded.
Yep, that's the big problem of bands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we have the the capabilities of like doing it ourselves, and that's the other thing too. It's like, do we want to do it ourselves? Do we want to go to a studio? It's all up in the air kind of right
process,
now.
Right?
Yeah. Because I've done plenty of like recording in the past, over the years, and it's always like we've always went into a studio and had like someone do it for us. So like doing it on our own is like. It would be a new experience, and I'm kind of like looking forward to that. But then, the headaches sometimes. I don't know if that's a little bit more than it's worth,
Right.
Yeah.
So, you started this band Roux. Why Roux? What is that?
So, our guitar player Matt, I believe he was at a bachelor party a few years back, and one of his really good friends is a chef. And he was doing a lot of the cooking, like while they were they were away for a weekend or so, and I believe as you do on a bachelor party, they might have been imbibing a little bit,
right?
And they're just saying dumb stuff, and this guy being a chef, he was cooking for them, and he'd be like, oh, everything starts with a roux, which Cajun cooking, that is very true, French cooking, all that, and it just like was this thing that kind of stuck in Matt's head. And he brought it, and he told the story, and I'm like, what, I like it. I've always been a fan of like a very short, like one syllable, like just really short to the point, like sharp sounding, like band name. So I'm like, I'm in, and everyone else was in, and that's, naming a band is so hard.
It is hard.
Like everybody, it takes forever, and like everyone's just like, no, someone's like really into something, and everybody else hates it or whatever, So and that's like that was like the first one that just kind of like fell out. That it was like where everyone was cool with it. We're like, go, done, we're good. Let's just no more talking about it. We all like it. Let's go. So yeah, that's kind of how that came about. And I'm also the gentleman that came up with the quote was a chef, and I it didn't hurt that I was the former chef.
Oh really?
Yeah, so it like piqued my interest as well. But yeah, it's and then it leads itself to like we can make some like corny jokes about it. Oh, come out and see Roux tonight. They're cooking up something nice for you.
Right.
It's just dumb stuff like that. Whoa, almost lost myself there. Yeah.
So, what is you mentioned jam banding, but what is like your go-to stuff? You mentioned you're a singer-songwriter in this band. What is your inspirations?
You mean as far as like bands that we're inspired by?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like really all over the place. Obviously we all have a love for like bands like Fish, Grateful Dead, Mo, Disco Biscuits, those kinds of things. But then it's also it's not always like the psychedelic jam band stuff that like really inspires us. I'm a huge like Pink Floyd fan, Zeppelin, Doors, like just classic rock.
Right.
Like it's all over the place. I mean, our like even like hip hop, like stuff like that. Like the even country bluegrass music. I've been listening to a lot of Daniel Donato lately. I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, just he's kind of like an up and coming like country artist. Very like old school country, like very guitar driven, very singer songwritery. But it comes from all over the place. I mean, but we all do kind of have that foundation. Like we like improvisational music, being able to like, I don't think any of us could play the exact same song the exact same way every single night. Like I not only don't think I can physically do it, just because of like how I play.
Right.
But just being bored with it. Like I like the, not knowing where a song will go. Being spontaneous, yes. There, some songs get jammed out, some don't. Different songs get jammed on different nights. It all kind of depends where we're at. But certain things it's kind of written in, some are left open to interpretation. we have some like planned out jams, you know, where it's not exactly like it's spontaneous, but it sounds like it, you know.
Right. Yep.
You know, planned jamming, if you will. So it's, you know, it's kind of like it really depends on the night. And just how we're feeling, you know, how the crowd's reacting to us, you know, like if people are really into it, we're not going to stop playing a song. Like,
Right.
we're gonna keep going, you know. But if you know we're having like a poorly attended show, you know, we might be kind of trying to get through it, you know. It just really all depends.
You ever lose yourself sometimes, or like, oh shoot, what do I do? And
not so much that. I mean, we listen really well, but it hasn't happened in a long time. But there are times when you know someone will be like, I don't know what song we're playing right now. You know, like, but the key to it all really is just listening. Like, obviously, you know, you want to be able to hear yourself and know what you're doing, but sometimes you kind of have to stop, like, thinking about what you're doing and listen to like, what is Nolan doing right now? What is Steve, our drummer, doing right now? Like, what are they doing, you know, like in this jam, like that I can like kind of like mimic or like cop to, you know, like
right.
and like kind of like take it in a different direction. So it's really about listening to everyone else as opposed to just kind of listening to yourself. It's a lot of give and take, you know. It can be like a high risk, high reward thing sometimes. You know, you kind of go for something that doesn't quite hit the way or quite land the way you would like it, you know. And other times you look like a genius, you know.
Right.
Like, you know, like, so, you know, there's you know, ups and downs, you know, good and bad with trying to do the style of music that we do. But you know, and then there's also, you know, outside of like the bands that I had mentioned, just like personal like bass influences. I'm really big fan of Rob Durhack from Mo. I'm heavily influenced. You know, Mo was like one of the first jam bands I really got into, and I just fell in love with this guy's bass playing. Great songwriter as well. So you know, I kind of like when I was younger, kind of like made my approach very similar to his. You know, I'm like, this is kind of like what I'm looking, like the direction I'm looking to go. And then after, you know, maturing a little bit, I kind of like developed my own style a little bit, but heavily influenced by him. And then also I spoke earlier about John Paul Jones. Like I remember like when I first getting a bass, like sitting down trying to learn, my mind's blanking right now. I like Lemon Song or something like that, like off of like Zeppelin 2, and just like not being able to do it. You know? And it's like, and now it's like, over 20 years later, I'm still like almost there. You know,
Right.
Yeah, like the guy is just such a legend. And then it's the influence. Like I said, the influences come from all over.
We have to kill that fly.
Yeah, this fly needs to go.
This fly needs to get out of here. We need to get like an electric fly swatter or something, for sure.
Oh, excuse me.
So where are you at in your bass playing abilities? What do you feel comfortable with? Are you like knowledgeable in theory and stuff like that, or?
So I know just enough theory to get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm a very like meat and potatoes bass player, if you will. I do like to very like groove oriented, like kind of sit in the pocket, at least like that's the direction I've been trying to go since we added another guitar player. I don't need to be as out front as much as I used to be.
Right.
We were a 3-piece for a little while, and I needed to kind of like fill space and be a more like out front bass player. Now that there's a little bit less room sonically, I've been trying to like sit back and concentrate more on being like a pocket player.
Sure.
But
I think I got it.
Oh, we got him?
I think I got it.
All right, good. Good. All right. But no, yeah, it's we try to like especially rhythm section wise,
right.
Like we try to like stay out of the way as much as we can because we have two like monstrous guitar players. I mean, these guys can play.
Right.
So it's like we just need to kind of create a backbone for these guys, and that's like, the goal. So I'm very like try to be in the pocket, but we do get opportunities, especially like when we're improvising to kind of like lead the jams. And, I can definitely go out and like take a little bit of a solo.
Mm-hmm.
Steve's not much into drum solos, but he definitely like leads jams from time to time. So I mean, it's very, it's not just one person leading these things. But as far as like, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at right now with playing. I mean, obviously everyone always wants to get better. Everyone's
Sure.
trying to get better. But I can, for the most part, I can do what I would like to do.
Where's one area that you would like to improve on?
I would like to be a better slap player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, and a couple of little licks here and there that I can pull off, like very confidently. But outside of that, it's a little lacking. So that's like something I have been actively trying to improve upon. And then theory's another thing. Like I said, I know just enough to get by. I'm very much play by ear. Self-taught, like since day one. I've never had a single lesson. It's all just been like sitting down trying to learn to records, or just like
figuring it out.
Just figuring it out. Mostly just playing in bands over the years, like figuring out like what is my role supposed to be.
Yeah,
and then fill that role. Like a lot of times, like especially like I've done like like classic rock cover bands where there's just not a lot for the bass player to do.
There's not. Besides roots and fists.
Yeah, just sit there and beat play the part and do that. But and other times I've had an opportunity to be more out front.
Mm-hmm.
Have like very like driving bass lines. And it leads me to like doing like original music, doing like this jam band scene. It's like the gear that I get to kind of use on it. Like, so I do have like my pedal board has grown over the years.
Really?
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite pedals to use?
Right now, like if I could only take one pedal to a show, it would be my 3-leaf audio Octave octave pedal. It's a 2-channel. It's just basically like a clone of an old OC2 octave pedal. I don't know if you're aware of them.
I am idiotic when it comes to pedals.
Right.
So you have to explain it to me.
So
like
an OC2 octave pedal it basically recreates the drive signal that goes into it an octave lower.
Okay. Oh, so it's an octave lower.
Yeah,
I thought it was an octave higher.
So they do make them where they're octave higher, but like the OC2 was always like octave down.
Okay.
They actually do 2 octave downs, but it's not really.
That's crazy.
It's not really useful for bass.
No.
Like guitar players can get away with it, but it's not really designed to be used that way as a bass player. Yeah. But the thing that like makes them so like sought after, the OC2, is that you can take the dry signal completely out of the mix, and it's just this wet subby sound. So like,
really,
yeah, it's very like synthy and subby. But like what this 3-leaf audio pedal does, it's made by I can't remember his name right now, but it's like a very small time like boutique pedal company out of Oregon, I believe, and it's very like faithful clone of the pedal, because I actually have an OC2, an old vintage ones. They don't make them anymore. But what it does is it has 2 channels. So like if you wanted to like switch between like the regular octave sound with like some of the dry mix to like the sub, you would have to get like bend over and like turn knobs to do it. This one just has 2 channels, one with just the wet signal, one with just with the wet and dry signal mixed. And I won't go anywhere without that thing. Like just having those 2 things, like it can be very loud and obnoxious, and really like drive a song, or like really like kind of like make weird noise in a jam.
So you could probably have a lot of fun if you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun with that pedal. But just the versality of it, like you can like tame it, you know what I mean? It can be like a very subtle thing, which is, and it's all, you can be all over the place in one pedal without having to like bend over to do anything to it. So like that's right now that. And then most people don't think of like delay as like a big
like a bass thing,
but like I tend to use like a carbon copy MXR delay pretty often. We get into like what we'll call like bliss jams, if you will, where it's like very ethereal and like kind of open, like floaty sounding, and like a delay is like very nice in there.
So when you're like higher in the neck. And
yes,
like that,
yes. It kind of like, when I'm not trying to play an actual bass line,
right?
When I'm trying to like create like soundscape almost kind of stuff, and it's very nice for that. And then also like a volume pedal, so you can do like volume swells, and it sounds keyboardy and just
Right,
like
right.
yeah. So it's I have fun with that stuff, and then I have like the standard like like envelope filter fuzz, like that kind of stuff that every bass player has.
Right.
Actually, surprisingly, this might be controversial, but like I'm not that big a fan of like envelope filter. Like
Really?
yeah, like as a bass player, like people like, what are you talking about? Like it is just, I don't know, like like for what I hear in my head and like what I want to come out, like that's not always the sound I want.
Sure.
But there are very like, there's appropriate times to use it, and I like to have it for that, like, but it's not like an always on thing. Like if someone told me I couldn't go to a gig with one, I wouldn't miss it,
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just that. Lots of fun just playing with pedals.
Is there equipment that you want to get but that you don't have yet?
Oh, I mean, all of it. So I mean, the rig is like pretty much. I keep saying I want, I want to go out and like buy something new, or like want a new piece of gear, or this or that or whatever. But I'm actually like, after like about like 20 years or so, I'm actually kind of like happy with what I got. Like, the only thing I kind of would be looking into, and this is like down the road, is kind of like making the rig smaller, because I play like a big 212 like Ampeg cabinet. It's heavy. I play like an old school like GK 700 RB head. I've been looking into like the Aguilar stuff, like where it's like a lot smaller gear. Like you can get 212s, like they're this big. They're small, and like the whole rig would weigh like 40, 50, 60 pounds, like as opposed to like the 100-pound rig I have to drag around now. But that's down the road. That stuff it's super expensive, and like we're not touring musicians, so I can't like
not yet.
Not yet. I can't justify the expense just yet, especially when I've got gear that's broken in. It's really working, for what I want to get out of it. Like it's very reliable. It's very few times like I've gone to a gig where I've like, oh crap, like this isn't working.
Right.
Like it's taken a while to get here. Like I said, like 20 years of like buying gear, or whatever.
Trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. It's always like the goalpost is always moving on this stuff. I say this now, like I just started. I used to be into Fender basses.
Really?
Yeah, loved. Like I still own Fender basses. I have Fender Jazz, Fender P, and that was I would only do that for a while. And I mean, they're great instruments. I mean, especially like a Fender P bass. Like more albums have been recording on one of
Flashback.
those. I think we got a new friend.
A new friend.
But I feel like like. Oh, what were we saying? Oh, about recording. There's been more albums recorded on a Fender P bass than like any other instrument ever. So,
yes, of course.
You have to have one in the stable. You know what I mean? And then like I've always just played like Leo Fender designs. Like I went from that to like playing a Music Man Stingray for a while, and that was a great instrument. But I don't even know why I got rid of that instrument. But things happen over the time, and then I went from that to a GK, or excuse me, not a GK, G&L bass. And once again, I can't get away from Leo Fender design, so like it's all like in that same realm. And then with Roux, I wanted something different, like the Fender kind of stuff just wasn't really working for me. It wasn't kind of cutting through the mix the way I wanted it to. I wanted more of like a modern sound. If that makes something definitely active that was a good platform for like using pedals and like I said, just kind of like being able to cut through the mix but not like be obnoxious. And I just kind of fell into Ibanez basses. I've really been digging the SR Ibanez basses, and I don't think that I could play anything else with this band right now. Like I think I've been with this Ibanez for about 3 years now. And yeah, I mean they're just incredible instruments. I mean I don't think Ibanez makes a bad instrument. So like, yeah. Any aspiring bass players, I would recommend. The necks are thin. They're really easy to play. and they're light. I mean, we do like 3-hour shows. Like you
That's
have like
nice.
a Fender P bass on your shoulder. I mean, they're like 9-10 pounds. I mean, that weighs on you after a little bit. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
these. I mean, I think it just weighs like 7.5, almost 8 pounds. Like it's nothing on your shoulder. They're very light.
Well, let's get to some of your music that we have here.
Okay.
We have one jam from you guys. Do you want to explain it all?
So I believe it's called Witch Finger Weekend. This is one of my originals. The Witch Finger is it's kind of like an inside joke amongst me and my friends. We might not get into that here. But no, it's just inspired by a few weekends. We have a really close knit friend group. It was inspired by just some of the great times like that we've had together. Whether like on vacations or just like random nights that we've had together. So this is just a couple of those nights in song form.
Well, let's take a listen.
Like the great times like that we've had together. Whether like on vacations or just like random nights that we've had together. So this is just a couple of those nights in song form.
Listen.
On a midnight train, and that old brown winter
guys. Everybody have a great.
All right.
And that was.
Witch Finger Weekend.
There you go.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that should be coming out. Is that part of your new stuff that's coming out?
We are recording, or in the process of doing it. That one might make it.
Okay.
We're not 100% sure on like what we're actually going to include on this. We're not doing a full length album. We're just doing a little something to kind of get up on Spotify and get our name out there a little bit. But we have a few in mind that's on the list.
So, you wrote that song.
Yes.
We were talking during the break that you didn't write it on guitar because you're not very good at guitar.
No, I'm a terrible guitar player. I've always just kind of like started out on bass and played it for a long time, and then I tried to pick it up like over the years, and I can get around a little bit, but I'm not like I'm just very like campfire guitar player. Like sit around and play a few chords here and there. So I try to like write on the bass, which has it has its challenges,
Pros and cons, for
pros
sure.
and cons. Yeah, it's very hard. Songwriting's like it starts all over the place. Like I might have like a riff on the bass in my mind, or I might have like a set of lyrics, and I'll maybe write like a chord progression around that,
Right.
around those lyrics, or like around the riff or whatever I'm trying to do, and. This is where like the theory comes in, kind of like, you don't need to know theory to play root notes. You know what I mean?
don't.
No, not at all. So just kind of like using, like your circle of fifths or whatever, just kind of find out like what are the chords in this key, and try to like come up with as much information as I can for the guitar players in the band. They're going to have to write like, the guitar parts for it, I try to like, have a melody or something, and then I go from there, I have some ideas, like kind of what I want out of the guitar. Sometimes I just say, Matt, just do something, like with Witch Finger Weekend is a very interesting one. Like I knew that like I had this bass line, and I had been listening to a lot of Trey Anastasio band at the time, a lot of his, at the time that I wrote that, I believe his bass player, had passed, and I was a really big fan of his, and so I've been listening to a lot of it, and like I wanted to kind of write something in that style,
Right.
And I kind of like I had what I thought I wanted in my head, and I took it to Matt. It was just me and him in his apartment, and he's like, like what do you want from this? And I was like, I don't know, Matt. Like, he's like, I was like, either like, he's like, do you want something like, do you want like this riff to be like a lead riff, or do you want it just like kind of chorded, like just kind of chomping chords or whatever? And I said, Matt, do something in the middle. And like the first thing he played was the riff that you heard there at the beginning, which it's not just chords. It's like it's very signature sounding, like kind of guitar riff. And I was like, that's it. Don't change anything. That's it right there. So Matt's we've been playing music together for like over a decade now, so like I can just kind of like point him in a direction, and like he knows what I want, and vice versa. Like when we're like when it comes to like his stuff, like sometimes he comes with like a written bass line, and he's like, you don't have to play it exact, but like this is like what the vibe I'm looking for. And other times he's like, I don't know, you just do what you do, right. So there's a lot of like kind of like give and take with a song, like when we go back and forth writing songs. As far as like like I said, the process goes, I mean, we kind of talked about it briefly there, but I just kind of like I've only been like writing original music for probably like the last 3 or 4 or 5 years or so.
So it's this project.
Yeah, it's with this project mostly. And so like I'm still figuring out like my voice, my process, like all of that. And it's mostly just become like out of necessity. Like neither Matt nor I like had ever kind of like led a band, like frontman or anything in the past, and we kind of like got to this point where we were through. It's like, oh, one of us is gonna have to do this,
right?
So like we both like just kind of took on like these singing and like songwriting responsibilities, and Matt's really really good, and I was like, oh, I gotta keep up, so but I just write about experiences, people in my life, or just like one of my songs. I was binge watching Naked and Afraid, and I wrote a song about that. You know, like the just reality TV. So it comes from like all over the place. Nothing like set in stone. And like I said, the process is different every time. Sometimes it's a riff I have in my head, or I have a couple of lyrics. I try to build something around that. You know, as far as like influence goes, like obviously like the Beatles. Like I'm not comparing myself. Just to be clear, I'm not comparing myself at all to any of those guys. Like even like my style is nowhere like in the realm of that. But I always like look to it like those guys like invented pop music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't go wrong with like kind of leaning on them for inspiration when it comes to like just songwriting in general. I'm a huge Warren Zevon fan. I love his first album. It's just the guy's like he's got such a like a great turn of phrase. He's very dark but very funny all at the same time. Very. I don't really think he took his songwriting that seriously or took himself that seriously, and I kind of I like that vibe for like when I'm writing. Like whenever I get too serious about something, I'm like that's I feel like embarrassed almost about it. Like no, like we don't need to get that deep, you know. Like it's let's keep it a very fun vibe. We're talking Zevon. I mean, like just incredible first album. Also comes back to like as I spoke earlier about Rob Durhack from Mo being like a very big inspiration on the bass. Also like inspired by like his songwriting. Now luckily like with the band Mo, like they have 3 singers, 3 guitar players, you know, 3 songwriters. So and like he's got to be my favorite of like the songwriters in that band, and he's very similar. And like the style that like I like to do is like writing about experiences, writing about you know, just the people in his life, and doing it from the position of like being a bass player.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure like if he's writing only on bass, but I feel like it's definitely like a lot harder, at least in my experience, to write from being a bass player, because you're not playing chords. You know what I mean? You're not like you're not always playing the melody. Like you're playing, you know, you're playing the rhythm. And what's you know, it's at least for me, it's very difficult to like play as a part of the rhythm section and sing at the same time. So like I have to be very I have to be very cognizant of that when I'm like writing and like figuring out like what kind of bass line am I going to play to this. Excuse me, to these lyrics. I have to be able to be like, can I play this live and sing it at the same time? You know, like so like it's
too complicated.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we might have to scale this back a little bit. So like that's, you know, that's something I always like working towards like getting better at, is being able to like kind of like take the hands out of the equation, you know, like being you know, like being able to like play fluidly while singing and not have to think about what I'm doing.
Not look at the fretboard.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. Yeah. You know, we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, definitely like a little self-conscious about it. Like at first I was like, you know, cause I didn't consider myself to be like a great singer. And it, you know, I just kind of like took my lumps over the years. Like the first time I like ever sang in a band live was just because they're like, you need to sing, you know, like it came from like doing, like being in a house band, where it's just like we needed to fill space, you know? So it's just like, you're going to like learn a couple songs, you know, it's something like very simple, and you're going to get up here and do it. And I was like, all right. So I was just kind of like forced into it. And then, because I would always like, I would really like to just be, you know, like a John Entwistle, you know, from The Who, just sitting back in the corner, just not being seen, you know, just playing great bass lines.
Vibing.
Yeah, just vibing, exactly. But you know, like I said, it's been a challenge, but you know, I've enjoyed having the opportunity to do it, to express myself a little bit more, and just to like, you know, the first time, you know, like we took a song of mine and played it out live. I mean, it was something special, you know, like to see it from like my porch, you know, where I sat, you know, drinking beers and playing with my dog, you know, like like writing this to like actually seeing it played and then like having it, you know, like, you know, recorded. it was something. So like it kind of hooked me a little bit. And now I'm definitely like I don't think I would go back to just standing in the corner anymore.
So you've been playing for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing what is the funniest or most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Oh God. Oh. I've had quite a few of them, actually. I'm just trying to think about one that pops off the top of my head right now is when I was in a band called Blind Ellis, and we we were the second band on like a 3-band bill, and we had let the first band like use our gear. And at the time, I was using like one of those clip-on tuners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't think anything of it. They used our tuners and all that. So I put my tuner on, I'm tuning bass. I'm like, man, this thing's really out of tune. So, all right, I tune it. And then my one guitar player at the time had forgotten his. And I'm like, well, here you go. And he's like, geez, man, we're really out of tune, right? I'm like, and it didn't make sense. I didn't think anything about it. We didn't have a lot of time to like really do anything. So first chords we play, just absolutely out of tune with the other guitar player in the band, and I'm just like, we don't know what we're doing here, man. That is the only time I've ever been in a situation where I had to like stop a song.
Oh no.
And like, hold on, guys, we're having issues. It turned out like I guess this other band played. They didn't tune to standard like 440.
Right.
So yeah, and they had calibrated my my clip-on tuner to like out of 440.
Wow.
Yeah, and didn't tell me about it, and like
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really embarrassing. I believe. Oh, she wasn't there. I was gonna say I believe my wife was one of our like first dates, but she was not there for that one, so she didn't see that embarrassing moment.
That's crazy. I wonder what their music would sound. Because that's all over the place if you're not playing in 440, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you can, as long as you're tuning to the same frequency,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Because I mean, I don't even know where it was at. Like, I was like, why are we? Like, I was just Matt, you're out of tune. Like the one guitar player, that's tuned to 240. Like, you are technically the one out of tune. Me and Jim are good.
Yes.
Like. Matt still will bust my balls about that to this day sometimes. That was very embarrassing. So moral of the story is don't let anyone else use your tuner. I think I've like almost fallen over on stage. Not anytime recently. Yeah, that might be the worst. Because you just like, I mean, we're still amateurs, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
we're not touring, we're not doing this or anything, but we always try to be very professional, try to sound very professional. Whenever we're dealing with like the staff at a venue, like we're very kind, we're very professional. We're not like a big like drunken rock and roll band, like getting too drunk to play and that kind of thing. So when something like that happens, like to me, it's like very unprofessional, and it doesn't look good. And I took that one kind of hard. It affected how I played the rest of the night. Yeah. I was like the very first chord of the night, like just completely out of
first
tune.
Impression to everybody is just like, what the hell?
Yeah, like what are these guys doing? They can't even tune their guitars. So yeah, that just left a very sour taste in my mouth for the rest of the night. And no one will ever be allowed to use my clip-on tuner ever again. Well, I don't even use them anymore. I actually just I have like a Korg like pedal tuner. They I mean, I'm sure that like the clip-ons I haven't used them in a while. I'm sure they've come a ways for like bass players, but like I've always felt like some of them work for bass and some of them don't. Like they really like have a hard time catching like that low E. So I'd just rather have like a tuner on the floor, and then I can also like mute. There's nothing that like bothers me more than someone tuning on stage that you can hear it.
Really?
Oh God, it bugs me so much. Like I will like throw eyes at people if I can hear them tuning. Like, do not do that. Like, it's another like professional thing. Like, no one wants to hear you tuning.
Right. Unless if it's like an orchestra. I find that fun.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Like they take tuning and make it like interesting.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah.
And it's somehow like it. I've only been to see an orchestra one time, and it was me and Matt went with me, and we're both huge like John Williams fans.
Oh, yeah.
So it was Baltimore's.
I'm gonna go see Hans Zimmer in Baltimore.
Oh, nice.
December,
So we went down in Baltimore, and it wasn't John Williams conducting this, but they were doing a tribute to John Williams that night. So, like, you know, obviously they're playing all the Star Wars stuff, the Jaws stuff, Indiana Jones, and then they were just. But yes, once again, just back to like tuning, like sitting there, like listening to them tuning. You can hear them like throw in like little like pieces of like the Indiana Jones theme or stuff while they're tuning. I'm like, this is really neat.
Yeah, it's like the only acceptable time.
Yeah. But that night was that was so cool. I had gone in there like knowing like, okay, I want to hear these certain things from it, you know, like being a John Williams fan. But then there's like all this stuff like I did not know that he did, like the NBC, like the nightly news from NBC, like that's John Williams, and then like the Olympic theme. I was like, get out of here! Like I had no clue. Like I'm just shocked, you know. I mean, I guess maybe I'm just like a dummy and didn't know, but like it was, you know, if you don't know, you don't know.
Well, I'm a giant John. My outside of this, I score for film.
Okay.
So John Williams, Michael Giacchino, Alan Silvestri, Hans Zimmer, all of that.
So big influences for you.
Absolutely, 100%. And Elton John, but
yeah, of course. Well, dude, you can't go wrong with Elton John.
Can't go wrong with Elton John.
Love him.
So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that maybe you've seen made in the industry? Talking about like no-nos, right? And maybe that you have made or you've seen other people make, and how can we curb that for the future?
So at least like, you know, we kind of like we're in a different like realm sometimes, I think, like the jam band scene. Like it's definitely like a festive, like there's like local clubs and stuff that like have those kinds of bands. You know, you go to like Abbey Bar, even like XL in Harrisburg will have, you know, improv bands. But it's like in the local area, it kind of seems it's like mostly like a festival thing. There's a lot of like overnight camping festivals and just professionalism is a big thing. I mean, people like, you know, getting into like drinking too heavily while they're playing or like doing drugs while they're playing. And it's noticeable, you know what I mean? Like you're not being
sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it just like people like, it's very, you can only do that so much before people start getting like tired of it. Like not just like the audience, but like, you know, dealing with like venues, you know, or like, you know, people that are doing booking and stuff like they see you as like unreliable, you know, and just punctuality. You know,
100%.
Showing up on time to like venues, and like
Sorry
knowing.
For being late.
Oh no, I wasn't calling you out. That's like something I strive for. You know, and then just burning bridges, man. Like you never know. Like this stuff comes full circle so often.
Oh
like,
yeah, especially in a local scene.
Yeah, on a local scene,
where everybody
like
knows each other.
Yeah, everybody knows each other. You know, you can't just say "F this guy." You know, like
No,
sometimes, you know, like it's all about, especially like doing like original music. It's all about networking, is what I found.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like playing like a bar gig where you're playing like. And there's nothing. I'm not casting, you know, shade on people that do this.
Right.
But doing like, you know, like the classic band, you know, classic rock, like cover band scene, you know, like I did that for a little bit too. Like it's fun, it's great, but like it's a little bit easier to get gigs that way, you know. When you're trying to do like an original thing, it's all about networking, and kind of like getting your name out there, just throwing things against the wall and see what sticks, and not being professional, like not being personable, not being able to do that, like that. To me is like what's gonna kind of hurt you the most, like at least like in like the context of like what we're trying to do,
right?
And then just, you know, not being prepared, you know, show up prepared, show up on time, show up, you know, ready to go, you know, have your gear, you know, in working condition, you know, just having like a level head on your shoulders, and just being, you know, open to doing what you need to, you know, being open to like different situations, being prepared for whatever, you know, definitely is key, you know, I think, to like kind of be successful like in a local scene. You know, you definitely want to leave a good impression on people. You don't want people to think, oh, this guy's an asshole, you know.
Yeah, right 100%, because you never know who's listening, who's watching, or whatever.
Exactly. Yes.
So 2 more things, and then we'll get you on the road again.
Okay.
What is something that you are? So, what is something that you are looking forward to releasing for your fans? Like, what are you excited to show your fans next? That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So obviously we're working towards getting like Spotify up and running.
Yep.
So like that's a big one. We also started, like pushing merch recently. So I mean,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like koozies. Koozies, T-shirts, stickers. Stickers are always free at Roux shows. So come out and get a free sticker. So just stuff like that. We have a pretty big festival date coming up. Labor Day weekend will be at Carnival of the Arts Festival East. And if you go through Roux, we can get you a 10% discount. Use Roux as the discount code.
That is ROUX.
ROUX, that is correct. But we're really excited about playing there. It's a pretty big step up for us as far as like the level of like festivals that we played. So we're looking forward to getting the few fans that we do have out for that, and then hopefully making some new ones. That's definitely like our main focus for now. And then, like I said, also doing some recording, and hopefully just later. We're like I said, we will be kind of like taking a little bit of time off after that to do the recording. But then we're like, we're looking to get back after it late late fall, early winter into like the new year, and just kind of hit the ground running with new material and just get after it.
With the whole Christmas album.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I've been wanting to do at least just like maybe we'll make it happen this year. But like I'm not big into Christmas music, but I really love the Charlie Brown theme, the Linus and Lucy.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to do that as a full band, like the jazz style. I thought that would be fun to do.
That would go.
So I mean,
well.
maybe I can talk the guys into that. This year.
Fun.
Yeah. It's a great bass line. It's fun.
Oh no, and the piano lines too are hard, but really fun.
Yeah. Like if you get it down, it's a fun song. And I mean, who doesn't love Charlie Brown?
Yeah, right. You'll pull it out of your pocket, and people are like, ah.
Yeah, it's like I would play that in the middle of summer.
Yeah,
right. I mean? Like, it's not just for like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would play that whenever. Yeah, like we did a Halloween show this past year, and we were doing a bunch of like Halloween themes. And oh god, what were we bringing back? The theme to the monsters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We pull that out every once in a while, just because why not? It's like a really cool guitar riff,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not even written for guitar. It's like done on strings, but Matt was able to compose it for guitar, and it's really fun to play.
Well, last question: where can people find you guys?
We're on all the social media. Just search Roux on Instagram, Facebook. X. I was going to say Twitter. I refuse, but for these purposes, we'll call it X. We're on YouTube, and just if you follow us there, we will make an announcement at some point about like when we get Spotify up and running.
That is ROUX once again.
Yes.
Roux. Well, my name is Corey Rosen. This has been the Story Podcast. You can find all the things that I do at CoreyRosenProductions.com. That's CORYROSEN Productions.com. You can find out all the upcoming stuff, including, I didn't tell you this, but I have a movie coming out in theaters.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very, very soon, called Talons of the Phoenix. It's like a spoof on World War II.
Okay.
So it's fictional stuff.
Okay.
Not stuff that actually happened, but it's really cool. I'm really excited for it. It should be coming out in theaters in the U.S. sometime very, very soon, unless you want to go over to Germany or South Korea where it's already out in theaters.
Okay.
a little bit of a trip for that.
There's a little bit of a haul.
A little bit of a haul, but hey, it should be coming out very, very soon, and we have some other great updates over on the website, including our Super Smash Bros. Tournament that'll be coming up November 9th. So if you want a chance to win $250 for first place, come out. Right here at the SRCC, and we also have our open mics every Wednesday, 7 to 11, which I host. Sometimes James Klippel hosts, another great musician. You should learn about James Klippel.
I know who he is.
Oh,
I've never met him.
He's great. He's a great musician.
He's great. Yeah,
fantastic musician.
I've seen him. Last time I saw him, it was an open mic at the Abbey Bar, the one that Jason Messia runs from Yam Yam. He actually sat in with us at a gig recently. That was fun. Really. Oh yeah, dude is a monster on the saxophone. I mean, he is a player. So yeah, I was very humbled. I was like, I'm just gonna sit back here and play this bass line. You go.
It's your turn. Well, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please be sure to share, like, subscribe with all your friends, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.